Alright, here's a pheasant tail. Just going to start my thread here at the midway point. And first thing I'm going to tie in is the tail. And I'm just going to make sure the tips are fairly even. And I'm just going to have them hanging off the back about half the hook length, so I just measured it up about halfway. And I'm just going to tie them in. First wrap's kind of soft right on the top, and then just make sure they stay right over the top, and as I come back I'm just going to give a little more thread torque, and right at this point I'll just make sure if I'm a little long, what I can do is just slide it up a little bit, and then it gets it about to the right length. Okay, I'm going to come to the back like so, and then just make sure it's all even. Bring the thread wrap back to the front, trim the rest off the front. Now here's a little trick that I kind of figured out when I was tying a bunch of these on how to make the legs small on the front. If you notice Umpqua, when they tie theirs, the legs are real fine, and I used to just kind of tie them in individually. Little trick that I found was that I'm just going to count them out. I want about 3 on each side. What I'll do right here is hang the fine fibers off of the front of the hook like so, and I will use those at the end when I pull them back as my legs, as opposed to what a lot of people do is take one of these and cut them real thick. I like real fine legs as opposed to just one set of thick legs. So I'm going to tie these in right here, bring it to halfway. Then I'm going to grab my wire, and on this size I'm probably going to use a brassy, this is about a size 16 hook. If it was smaller I may use a small. So I'm just tying the wire in on the side as I thread wrap back. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure I have everything evenly covered so that there's not any lumps. Bring the thread to the midway point. Keep my wire out of the way, and on these first wraps I'm gonna just spread them out, and then as I get closer to the midway point I'm starting to double over so that I build a slight taper to the body. Just capture those, trim the back end. And I knew I was forgetting something. I'm going to need some peacock. Alright, so before I get to the peacock, I'm just going to wrap this wire, spiral it forward. Just try to keep the spaces real nice and even. So right there. Capture the wire, put a little thread torque on it, that way it just breaks real evenly. Okay, and then I'm going to grab 2 strands of peacock, like so. Okay, twist those. I'm just going to set those aside for just 1 second. And right here on the top, I'm just going to tie the flash back in first, and I just want to make sure it's real centered right over the top. I cover that up. It's right there. Get that out of the way. I'm going to take the finer ends of these peacock feathers, just twist them so they become almost like a cord, and I'm tying them in right here on the side. Come forward to almost to the eye, and then I'm just going to wrap and just make sure that I cover up all my thread on the bottom like so. I'm going to wrap it forward, right about there. Leave myself a little room on the front so that I can put the head down. And just trim the excess, One more just to make sure it's in place. Flashback straight over the top. And I'm just going to make sure it's nice and centered. Pull it back, wrap in front. Trim that fairly close. And here's the one step I was telling you about. What I'm going to do is take a few of these fine little legs I have hanging over the front, tie some down over that side, take the remaining, pull them down this way, and they just make real fine little legs as opposed to the real big chunky ones as if I used more of the mid part of the pheasant tail. Just those real fine ends are the ones I'm going to go for. And if I wanted to make it beautiful, I'd cover that up, but that will certainly fish, fairly proportional. And that's the big thing with the pheasant tail, is that you just want a nice streamlined bullet body like a mayfly nymph is. A lot of people get a little too chunky in here, so kind of rotate that around. And that is the PT.